Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Autarch. Today we're going to have some good old fun. This is a deeper dive into a build that I mentioned in my 5 builds you should know video, which if you want to reach hyper tier through the holidays, go check it out. If you use those 5 builds, I guarantee you will get there. Guaranteed, not legally enforceable. And you gotta love a portal selection when everyone just selects the same portal. Artifact Anvil, which, by the way, just tip for people who, when you get this, don't open it until you have a pretty good idea of which way you're going. A lot of people just up and open it right after this first set of NPCs. Unless you know exactly what you're doing because the game has revealed itself to you, don't. Wait until the game reveals itself to you, and then you can choose the best artifact. In this case, the game revealed itself, because if it gives you an Urgot, and the next thing you see is a country headliner Tom Kench, y'all are going country. Now this is a really tough choice between 2 items. Gambler's Blade is out, but Hull Crusher could go on Tom Kench and make him a more effective tank. He's going out later because we're not going to keep him as headliner. Or Death's Defiance can go on Urgot and take the place of what would normally be the Bloodthirster, because this will give him a lot of Omnivamp and also the power to hold on. It's time for our first set of Augments, and nothing here really fits. Harm Assist isn't bad if I was thinking of going Country Moshers, but I already have the Death's Defiance, so not really needing that much more. Reroll, don't get anything exciting. We can go with Roll the Dice, which is going to give us the Rascal Gloves that'll equip 2 Radiant items. And I ended up with a 2-star Yasuo, so I just put that in for this first fight, which then left it not much in question, since even if they got me low, a Hecarim would have come in and taken care of everything. Country is another one of those that is very, very strong early for obvious reasons. Having another champion enter the board, even if he does nothing but watch, is definitely helpful. Time for an item choice, and I was hoping for a Chain Vest so I could make a Titan's Resolve, but instead I would normally grab the BF Sword and make a Bloodthirster on Urgot, but with the Death's Defiance, that just isn't as necessary. But we can still go ahead and make an Infinity Edge, which will just enhance his power a bit more and still hold on to that bow until we get a Chain Vest for the Titan's Resolve. And again, this build just holds up really well early. The Death's Defiance certainly is not hurting anything, but the Hecarim coming in and playing interference, yet you're going to get a lot of early wins. It's time for our second set of Augments, and one jumps out at me immediately, and that's Hologram, because one of the nice things about Country is it's going to bring an extra player. So to start with an additional extra player, yeah, that's kind of fun. But you gotta really look through all of them before you just jump on something, unless it's absolutely perfect, because New Recruit could have been under there, but once it wasn't, we'll go ahead and make a Hologram, because again, part of Country is having additional players enter the game, and so to start with an additional player, that's gonna help you even more. One place it won't help you though is if you end up against someone who got Starter Kit, because to have a 2-star 4 cost this early in the game, they are very, very likely going to dominate. As you build this out, you kind of have a choice to make. You can try to go for the 5 country 6 Moshers, and you can get there because Urgot is both country and Mosher. Then you'd have to be picking up Vi along the way. I tend to go with country 5 country 4 Moshers, and then fill in around it, often with bruisers or other things. I find the 4 pretty much as effective as 6, especially in this build. I also like to take advantage of the fact that Katarina is a crowd diver and get an additional crowd diver in. That's usually going to be Yone until the end, where I'm going to switch over to Kiana, depending on what I get and how the rest of the game goes. It is time for our final Augment choice, and there's nothing in the first group that's even the least bit interesting, so we're going to go ahead and roll them. And let's talk about 3's a crowd for this specific build. It's not bad. You actually have several 3 costs, because you have Urgot, you have Samira, you have Set, who are all definitive parts of your build. If you have Yone in, that's another, so you're going to get at least a decent amount of additional health from this specific build with Three's a Crowd. Now this is an interesting fight for a couple of reasons. It looks like early on I'm going to win because their Hecarim triggers first, so I'm ahead, but they end up taking over. This is because they have already dumped their early headliner and upgraded to a 3-cost headliner. I have not dumped Tom Kench yet. He should have been out of here by now. I like to hold one on the bench just in case I get a country emblem, but their Samira is able to take over and allow them to win. And so it is time for me as well, and just before the NPC round, I dumped Tom Kench so I could roll through and see if I could get the perfect headliner to replace Tom Kench, and the answer is yes, there is a Thresh. And we can go ahead and grab Thresh and put the Rascal's gloves on him. And remember, we're running a hologram, so we're now going to have 2 Threshes up front. We finally got the chain vest to complete the items for Urgot. Then it's just a matter of doling everything else out, because Katarina will do well with the blue buff. Then we can go ahead and open the anvil that we got in the previous round to see if we can make anything for Samira, because she currently is our weak link at a just bronze 1-star champion who is supposed to really be the cleanup crew. Ultimately, this comes down to our Hecarim against their Tarek, and he's just not going to win. I mean, Hecarim's not going to win. Tarek will take this pretty easily because Hecarim is not meant to 1v1 other champions. He just meant to disrupt things. We're going to go ahead and add to the tankiness in the front line. We don't have a 2-star set yet. Now we do. And so we can go ahead and start tanking him up with the Bramble Vest and Dragon's Claw. We found our 2-star Samira in between rounds, so the team is much more shored up now and able to do the damage that it needs to. Samira really is the cleanup here, as she just focuses things down with her ult, allowing the other champions to do what they need to do. Ultimately, it's likely going to be Urgot who carries your damage, but Samira is key for taking those frontliners down. It is time for an item choice, and we're going to just go ahead and enhance Samira. I was originally thinking Warmogs for set, but our front line is pretty strong with those multiple Threshes up front, thanks to Hologram. The one downside I have found with starter kit, and this is the team that started with that 2-star Zed, is that you're committed into that champion in whatever direction it ends up taking you. So if it doesn't fill in quite right, it's going to be hard towards the end. Time for another item choice, and with our backline pretty set in terms of Urgot and Samira, we're going to go ahead and just get the Steadfast Heart for set, and then exchange Zac for Alawi in the front line, even though that gives up EDM that wasn't really doing that much for us anyway. We run into a Disco Dazzler team that never really completed the disco part of their build, as they should have 2 balls out there, because you're gonna need 2 balls to do Disco Dazzler. Otherwise, your team just doesn't hold up as much and you end up going out, but we end up into the top 4. And I do love how the tooltip says it will now inflict 30 damage on your tactician. It won't, it's just 6 until finally somebody gets knocked out. Our final 2 item choices of the game, we're going to go ahead and grab the Sunfire Cape for Alawi. Also, I want to mention, normally I would bring in Kiana for Yone at this point. However, I'm not doing that because we have the Three's a Crowd. I did bring in a Karthus to tick Executioner along with Samira, and so we might as well go ahead and get a jeweled gauntlet for Karthus. Now, things start getting a little bit interesting because we have a champion duplicator, and we now are just 1 Thresh away from a gold 3-star Thresh, something I have not seen all season. One more roll, and there is Thresh, so after this match, it is time for a gold 3-star Thresh. And I'm hoping that will be enough to carry me to victory. But I'm going to learn a little bit about what a gold 3-star Thresh does after I put it together, because in all reality, I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just thinking any 4 cost that gets up to gold 3-star is going to be pretty strong. So I look through it first, roll, okay, it's not there, another roll's not going to help because I wouldn't be able to buy it anyway. So, gold, 3-star Thresh. The items don't really matter, he's got the rascal gloves. Keep in mind, it's also hologrammed because I now have 2 of them. Then the other person who I'm against asks basically what he does and says 8-second stun, and then I check and see, yeah, it's an 8-second stun. Now that means I have 2 players in the front line with 8-second stuns, which is a little ridiculous. We knock them out, then go and check the other board just to see what's going on, and we knocked them out, and it's GG for everyone. Country Moshers is very viable on its own, but if you happen to get a 3-star Thresh, it helps a little bit more. Hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have an absolutely awesome day.